Welcome into Chicago Bears Now. I am your host, Harrison Graham. I am not in studio. I am back at home. If you've been subscribed to this channel for a while, then you would know that during the offseason I do a lot of at-home videos because when breaking news happens, we've got you covered, and the Bears have made a pair of roster moves, which we'll get to in just a second, but this is why you subscribe, whether we're in the Chat Sports studios or I'm home at the crib, where we're bringing you the latest and greatest Chicago Bears news and rumors. So please subscribe, support the movement here at Bears Now. It's 100% free. Hit that big red button. All right, let's get to the news. The Bears have released edge rusher Jeremiah Attaochu. We mentioned him as a potential cut candidate. We'll talk about the salary cap implications of that. They have also signed nose tackle Mike Pennel, who actually was signed last offseason to the Bears, was placed on injured reserve during the preseason, and then was later cut and picked up by the Atlanta Falcons. So he actually did play in some games last year. So Jeremiah Attaochu out. Mike Pennel is in. I want to talk about the exit of Attaochu first, and then we'll talk about Mike Pennel being in the fold now at that defensive tackle position. Just didn't work out for Jeremiah Attaochu in Chicago, did it? Played in just 5 games last year. I'll be honest, I thought he didn't play a single snap for the Bears, but he did play in the first 5 games last year. Limited snaps, and then he got injured. In those limited snaps, 2 tackles, 0 sacks. 1 quarterback hit in 5 games. That is the production the Bears got out of a 2-year deal worth, I believe, over $6 million. So that signing did not work out for old Ryan Pace. Not all his fault, of course. The injuries popped up. But what this move does do is save a little more cap money, which is why I thought this could happen unless the Bears were really in that belief that he could contribute. I wasn't convinced he would be a major contributor, so I thought they might cut him. Didn't think it would happen this soon necessarily, but it has. It'll save the Bears $2.45 million in cap space. His dead cap hit only $600,000, so that's not a big deal whatsoever. So when you add that saved money from Attaochu, you're over $24 million in cap space now. So, slowly but surely, the Bears have got some real money to play with if they choose to make some moves. Now, they did just sign Mike Pennel. I assume it's a veteran minimum deal, so that shouldn't impact the cap because he wouldn't be a part of the top 51 contracts, and that's what factors in to the salary cap. But even if he was, for whatever reason, it'll be a vet minimum contract. So either way, the Bears will have 23 or 24 million, depending on Pennell's contract. But let's just call it 24 million. So after cutting Attaochu, they will now have up to $24 million. Before we continue, do you like this pair of roster moves? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Do you like cutting Attaochu and signing Pennel? I would say I do like it because it saves more money and you add a defensive tackle, albeit probably a depth piece that could potentially help you in those rotations. Y for yes, N for no. Let me know if you like this pair of roster moves. So Jeremiah Attaochu is no longer part of this team. Let's talk about Mike Pennel, who does have a connection to Ryan Poles because he spent a couple of years with the Kansas City Chiefs, a team I follow fairly closely as well. And let me tell you something, Mike Pennel is a pretty decent little run stopper as a nose tackle, a bigger defensive tackle type. When the Chiefs brought him in 2019, in the middle of that season due to some injuries, played in 8 games, he was critical during their playoff push and ultimate Super Bowl victory because that team really struggled to stop the run. That completely changed after Pennel got there in Kansas City. He was a game changer at that position, helped them out, played a lot of critical snaps, was also part of the Chiefs the next year and had a pretty good little season as well. Now, I mentioned the Bears then signed him after 2020. They put him on injured reserve, ended up cutting him, a little injury settlement there. And then the Falcons signed him last year with Atlanta, played in 10 games, 21 tackles, no sacks, no TFLs, no QB hits, but he's not really a stat stuffer. He's kind of a, hey, I'm going to eat up some blockers and linebackers can go clean up the plays. That's kind of what he does, Mike Pennel. He's not going to be a stats guy. You're talking about a guy 6'4", 330 pounds. This is a true one technique. This is not a guy who's going to play some 3-tech for the Chicago Bears. So for you guys still hoping and praying that Larry Ogunjobi could be a part of this team, I don't think signing Mike Pennel rules that out. 2 completely different positions. plus two completely different levels of play, right? Ilario Ogunjobi, when healthy, is a legitimate starter. Mike Pennel, rotation guy, 20-25 snaps a game, if he makes this team. So we'll have to wait and see. I think the bigger part of the news today is the cap relief from cutting loose Jeremiah Attaochu than it is signing Pennel. Although I do think Pennel can help this defensive tackle unit that's fairly thin, if we're being honest. I mean, we think Justin Jones is going to play the 3-tech spot, but at nose, I mean, that 1-tech, Kairos Tonga, you now have Mike Pennel, Angelo Blackson, Mario Edwards might play some 3-tech, but it's not like the defensive tackle position is loaded. So I wouldn't just scoff at the Pennel signing. I think he's at least a guy that could help a little bit. Now, I don't think he's changing the complexion of your front four, but again, a guy who's been a part of rotations before and should be able to at least contribute a little bit. If nothing else, can play some snaps for you. Appreciate you guys for watching today's show. We'll have some more analysis in just a moment. But again, I would ask you guys to subscribe to the channel if you like what you do, if you love what you're seeing. Maybe this is your first time watching a video on Chicago Bears Now. What we do here is publish daily videos. If news happens, we break it down. If rumors are flying across the internet, we cover those as well. Whatever is going on with the Bears, we've got you covered with the latest news and rumors. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button. We will continue to break it all down on this channel. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about what these moves could mean. Number one, with Attaochu gone, what does the defensive end position look like? That edge spot, if you will. Robert Quinn, Travis Gibson, Al-Quadin Muhammad. Those are your top three guys. We'll see what happens with Quinn. We'll see if he shows up to mandatory minicamp, which starts tomorrow. I think he will. We'll see. There's been some trade buzz around him. I do think the Bears want to keep him for now, but that could obviously change at any given moment. Also, after those guys, what are you talking about for depth? Does a Charles Snowden make this football team now? Dominique Robinson out of Miami of Ohio, I think now he becomes kind of that fourth edge rusher, should get some opportunities. So that's a good opportunity for him, the rookie 5th-round pick out of the University of Miami, not the Hurricanes, Miami of Ohio. So I think he's a guy. Mario Edwards can still play some edge for you as well, in addition to some 3-tech. I think he'll be a guy that moves around a little bit. So we'll see. Maybe you go out and sign a veteran edge rusher as well. There are a few of them on the market, a couple of guys that have been linked to this regime. A guy like Justin Houston, who played for the Chiefs for a while, he obviously would have connections to Ryan Poles. He's a guy that's out there. Do you want to go sign a veteran like Jason Pierre-Paul? That could be an option as well. You've got money to go make moves if you want to, if you're Ryan Poles. You got over $24 million after cutting Attaochu today. So the flexibility is there. I think moves will be made. Now, maybe the money goes elsewhere. Maybe you go sign an offensive lineman or two. Maybe you go get a wide receiver. Do not rule out more roster moves coming in the coming days and weeks. I think that's very much a possibility. Now, let me know in the comments, name a player that you do want to see the Bears go out and sign. Any position in free agency, any player, doesn't matter to me. Maybe you want an offensive lineman like an Eric Fisher, a Dwayne Brown, or a Quentin Spain. Maybe you want a Ilario Ogunjobi. Maybe you want a linebacker. You could still go get an Anthony Hitchens or an Anthony Barr. There are plenty of guys out there. Let me know down below, who would you like to see the Bears go out and sign in free agency. All right, so the news of the day here, news of the night, as we're about 7:30 Central Time here, about to wrap up this video. Jeremiah Attaochu out. Bears save almost $2.5 million by cutting him. You signed nose tackle Mike Pennel. He's been a bit of a journeyman, but pretty good run stopper as a rotation guy. Let's talk a little bit about minicamp, which gets going tomorrow. I had 5 storylines to watch at minicamp, mandatory minicamp. That video is on the channel. Subscribe, go to the videos tab, check that out. Please go watch that if you haven't. Broke down a little minicamp preview earlier today, but if you didn't see it, we'll talk a little bit about some of the things I'm keeping an eye on here. I think obviously Justin Fields and the offense as a whole is something to monitor. Where is Fields at in his progression, learning this offense? You know, he's kind of been working through it for the past 2-3 months, I would say, learning the system, getting reps in with these guys. So we'll get to see, you know, a little bit more about where he's at in terms of feeling out Luke Getsy's system. I think the offensive line is a big storyline to monitor this week. There's been some shuffling up there with Braxton Jones getting some first-team reps at left tackle. Right guard is still very much in flux. I think you've got to add a player there personally, unless Larry Borum or Tevin Jenkins kicks inside. But I think Dakota Dozier and Sam Mustipher are not the answer. So I'll be curious to see what those combinations look like this week at Hallis Hall. Some other things, the rookies, Kyler Gordon, is he going to be out there? He was somewhat mysteriously not at the Bears' last practice. He was in the building, but not practicing. Does that signal potential injury? Who knows? Jaquan Brisker, hype season, Velus Jones. Let's keep an eye on those guys this week as well. So I should get more of a closer look to what this new look Bears under Matt Eberflus are looking like in the month of June this week. And that, of course, gets going tomorrow, June 14th through June 16th. Okay, I think we're going to wrap it up there for the night. Jeremiah Attaochu cut. Mike Pennel signed. That's the roster switcheroo that just happened in the past half hour or so. Again, let me know how you feel about those moves. Do you like it? Type Y for yes or type N for no. One other thing, too, please like the video. In the month of June, likes is the goal here at Chat Sports. Bears now is 4th in the pecking order in likes this month. Pretty good. We got about 30 YouTube channels at Chat Sports, but I'm trying to get to that number 1 spot. Could be difficult, but I at least want to get top 3. So like this video. Let's move up that pecking order. All right, I'm Harrison Graham. Appreciate everybody watching. If there's more news tonight, we'll have you covered. If not, we'll see you tomorrow. Live show, 4 o'clock Eastern, 3 Central. Subscribe, turn on notifications. We'll see you all then. All right, I'm Harrison Graham signing off. We will see you guys soon here on Bears Now.